Hi there, it's Tanya. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining my live this week. I think today I'm going to be even more excited than normal, and the reason for that is I'm going to be speaking about a topic that is very dear and near to my heart personally. So I've actually sent out the invite to quite a few people today. There's quite a few people interested in this topic. It's also become a buzzword in the industry, talking about gut health. So before we kick off today with Healthy Gut, Healthy You, part one, I'm going to ask those that are joining in, because I know there's a couple of you right across the world. I'm just going to ask those of you, as you're coming into the video and into the live, if you can just say hi and maybe in the comments write where you're from, because I think we can have a wide audience, and it's always just great to see what a supportive community is out there, because there is so much help out there and so many people that you can reach out to. So if you don't mind, just go and put in the comments there, say hi, which area you're living in, which country, because a lot of it's not going to be in South Africa. So yeah, I'm going to give you a couple of seconds or minutes just to start filling those comments up as we start kicking off today. And then basically from there, I'm going to ask some more questions as well, because I would like to make today a little bit more interactive as well. And I'm going to allow you to post some questions, because I'm going to be asking or answering them for you as well. So as we go into this live, first thing you've got to write down, obviously, where are you from, saying hi. And then the second one I would like you to post in the comments is, when you think of gut health, number one, do you immediately think of the cells in your body and your digestive tract? If I talk about gut health, number two, do you think about food? And number three, what are you thinking about toxins? So if I just mention the word gut health, what is the first thing that comes to your mind out of those three? So number one, is it your gut lining and your entire digestive tract? Number two, do you think about food? Or number three, are you thinking about toxins? Hi, more people joining in. Thanks for joining. Hi, Yolandi. Please just remember to write in the comments where you are based, where you're coming in from, and then answering one of those three questions. Oh, there's more people coming in. Fantastic. If you can just maybe, give me a shout out, say where you flee. Oh, there was a phone call coming in. Hope people are not trying to phone in for the live. But in the comments, just post where you're from so we can all see how many people are out there and how big the community is actually to reach out to. And then number one, I'm just going to repeat those again, because I can see there's quite a few people joining in now if you haven't heard them. So number one, do you think of, when I speak about gut health, do you think of gut lining, your digestive tract? Or number two, food? Or number three, toxins? Oh, great. We've got Skylar from Edenville. Hi, Skylar. Fantastic. Mariette's also coming in. That's good news. Yes, just keep those comments coming in. And I can see there's a couple of ones or twos or threes coming in now. And the reason I'm asking these questions is gut health is just one of my absolute passions. It's part of my life journey. And I think it's very good to share journeys with each other, because out of that we can learn. Even more people joining in. Brilliant. Fantastic. So hopefully you can start filling in there number one, two, or three, depending on what it is that you think of. And when we kick off today's Healthy Gut, Healthy You, the reason I chose that title is, if you don't have a healthy gut, you most certainly will not have a healthy you. So there's this quote that comes up quite regularly, especially in social media or any kind of research that you do basically. Skylar says food. That's a very good answer, but it's actually a trick question. I'll get to that later in the movie. Vicky from Neverland. Where is Neverland, Vicky? I want to come and visit you, please. That sounds amazing. Marietta is also saying number two, which means food. Yolandi, she's getting what I'm getting at. She's saying 1, 2, and 3. All right, no, that's good. But when we start looking at things and start doing research online, this quote of all disease begins in the gut, it's one of those ones that just comes up very frequently. And there's a very good reason for that, because this quote is actually something that Hippocrates said, who is the father of medicine. Okay, and I'm not going to say he was 100% correct, because I still believe we don't know everything. There is just so much that humans still need to learn and to investigate and experiment on to actually get to the truth of it all. And actually, scientific research is now starting to catch up. And I think if I'm going to have to give you a rough percentage, I'd say probably about 90% of that quote is true. So it's showing that at least 90% of modern health day problems, our modern day health problems, are actually stemming, or the diseases that we get are actually stemming from poor health style choices, which affects our gut, which means that approximately 90% of what we experiencing in this very fast-paced, stressful lives of ours is due to poor gut health and making choices on a daily basis that affects it. Because let's think about it. Everything you do, what you're eating, what you're putting on your body, what you're breathing, all of that has an impact on your health. And you're either helping or supporting it, or you most definitely are degrading it or giving it a really, really tough time. And I think if we think now, I mean, science has come quite a far way, I've got to say, but in the last 100 years or so, our way of living has radically changed. So from farming practices, from producing food, from research in laboratories, medicine, everything has just had such an amazingly fast pace of improving in the last 100 years. But with that also comes the negativity. And if you think of yin and yang, everything always has a positive and it always has a negative, a yin and a yang, because they're always influencing each other, and you cannot, it is impossible to have the one without the other. And I love this because there's so many of us that are very highly scientifically trained, but we are waking up to the knowledge that is out there because we are living in the information age. And I think that is just absolutely brilliant. Because we're in this information age, it is very easy for us now, and especially if you've got a research-orientated brain or way of thinking or lifestyle, it's very easy for you to try and establish what principles you're going to follow. Because there's some very good research and data out there showing that a lot of the stuff we grew up with, we were literally being bamboozled. There's just no other way or other word for that. And I'm one of those. I mean, I'm a full-on scientist, and maybe we can speak a little bit about that. Our bodies, if you think about how mutations work and how DNA changes and how things adapt, is our way of living and adapting to new circumstances is by genetic mutations taking place, so that your body is or more adapted to living in the new conditions or the threat that you're throwing at it. So for instance, a virus is not a living thing. It needs living cells around it to replicate, to do everything that it needs to do. So it hijacks other organism cells, and it uses the organism that it's hijacked cells as machinery to actually reproduce itself. Okay? But as this research is coming out now, which I find is absolutely thrilling, we're also realizing now that there are a lot of things at play, and that viruses, believe it or not, do not exist to kill you. Who would have thought that? Their purpose is to coexist with their host, because as I've now just taught you, they can't live without that cell. And if they kill the cell, ta-da, they die too, hey. Okay, so it's actually not such a difficult concept to understand. So viruses have this absolute mission in life to become better and improve and become better versions of themselves, so that they can co-live with the host that they've taken the cell over from, so that they too can exist into infinitum, because that's what everyone wants to do. They want to live forever. They want to have a fantastic life under the best conditions possible. Okay, so it's very intriguing how the science evolves, but also that we've progressed so much with technology and the way we do things that our bodies cannot actually adapt and cope as quickly as it should, or as fast as everything is progressing. So everything that we're adding, the toxins, the air, everything that we keep on compounding on a daily basis, I just don't believe that our bodies are actually equipped to adapt quickly enough. We are exceptionally robust, otherwise the human population probably would have died within the first 50 years of its existence. So there's definitely proof that we are adapting. Oh, I can see more people coming in. Remember, if you've just joined, let me know where you're from, where you are joining from, the city, the country that you are. And if you think about the word gut health, number one, are you thinking about your digestive tract? Number two, are you thinking food? Or number three, are you thinking toxins? Okay, fantastic. And you can start adding those in the comments. All right, so I think maybe where we should go from here is to try and understand why there is so much disease at the moment, why our gut health is so badly affected. And I think the biggest why is, why am I qualified to even talk to you about these things? Okay, so maybe let's go to that last one first. The why. The why am I, or why do I think I have enough knowledge to speak to you? Well, the first thing is, I'd say, because of my own personal health journey, number one. Number two, my utter commitment to finding or seeking the truth. Now, just always for a second, remember there that what the truth is right now might change in a month from now or 5 months from now as research develops, as your knowledge improves. Oh, we've got someone, Catherine, saying Joburg and toxins, definitely one of them. We'll elaborate on that a little bit later. There's more people. Madeleine saying all three. I'm going to tell you which answer I like best later. But basically, my truth right now is going to change 5 minutes from now, an hour from now, in 3 years from now, when research changes or when I find more information. Okay, so I think what qualifies me is my research brain and my utter commitment to always finding or seeking better information, to use that and apply that in my life so that I too can become the best version and the healthiest version of me. And I think the last one, which is probably what most people are looking for, is the scientific background. Okay, so I have this utter love for bugs. Okay, I know I did a live the other day saying how I do not like mosquitoes, and I have no idea why they're even on this earth, because they really, really pester me. The bugs I'm speaking about are those little noo-noos. You know, the ones that you can see under a microscope or even an electron microscope. Daniel is saying all three. Let's keep those answers going. We'll reveal all at the end. So my utter love for bugs also means I have an utter love for the bugs on my skin, in my gut, around us, because it's called our microbiome, the stuff on our skin and in our gut. And because of all the research that's now going on, there's quite a lot of you out there that might not even necessarily be scientists, but you very definitely know by now that because of the gut-brain axis, we know that we are actually more bacteria and viruses and fungi than human. Okay, I'm gonna let you think about that one. There's more bacterial or microbiome genes, shall we call, than there are human genes in your body. Okay, so everything we do, we depend on them, and they depend on us too. So there's a very good example of where most viruses want to get at. Or having a symbiosis or living together to where they are not killing the host, because if they kill the host, they kill themselves. They cannot reproduce. Okay, so my journey with bugs started a very long time ago, and perhaps we can talk a little bit about the history, because my journey is going to be quite a important one in this gut health series of mine. And I'm hoping through telling my story to you that you are able to see that we are all unique, but we are all also struggling with the same issues. And there might just be something in my journey and in the health protocols that I followed that you can maybe implement in your own life. And the reason I'm saying that is, number one, remember, I am not a GP. I am not a medical doctor. I'm not here to provide you with health advice. I'm not going to tell you how to cure anything in your body. I am simply here to tell you my story, because I know how powerful a story is and can be, and how many people you can actually help and learn from when you listen to their stories. Because what are stories? Experience. And even in the medical profession, why are the older GPs so much more knowledgeable than the younger ones that just came out of varsity? Yes, the varsity ones has probably got a little bit more of the current research in their brains and what's going on with new methods. But why are the older ones always more sought after? Because of their experience. They've seen that symptom or that condition more than just once in a textbook. Okay, so by telling my story, I'm going to hopefully help you carry on forward. My journey actually began as being a ballet dancer, or that's where I'm going to start this health series from. I was very amped at high school or even at primary school that I was going to be a ballet dancer for the rest of my life. But for those of you that know me personally, you know I'm quite tall. And the problem or the genetic predisposition with tall people is that you struggle with physical things a lot more at a younger age than do shorter people. Now it's very advantageous. I love being tall. I love not finding pants that are long enough. I really do, because it also gives me a little bit of a boost of confidence, and I like being able to see stuff at a distance. There's a lot of benefits to being tall, but when you're a dancer, not so much. So unfortunately, or shall I say fortunately, because without that experience I wouldn't have been where I am today. Okay, so grateful for everything that has happened to me, but I wanted to be a ballet dancer, and I went to art school, and at a stage I got to a point where orthopedic surgeons had me on chronic anti-inflammatories because I kept on experiencing extensive knee joint pain, muscle aches, those kind of things, because my body at that stage wasn't strong enough, I suppose, to handle what was being thrown at me and what I was doing. We were not taught at that age or in that couple of years how you are supposed to be listening to your body, because if you've got an ache or a pain in Afrikaans, jy is vol femies, right? So get your stuff together. The show must go on. Okay, so unfortunately, I picked up quite a lot of injuries, and it got to such a bad stage that I had to quit art school as a ballet dancer and go back to a normal academic school. And in that started my utter love for science, and I'm really, really grateful for that. So in that journey, I then decided to go to university. And I did a BSc, not really knowing what I was going to end up as one day. And then, that book Outbreak that came out? Can't remember what year it was. Oh, I'm going to give my age away here. I can't remember. A gazillion years ago. And I was just so fascinated about these people. And then when the movie came out and they were walking around in these awesome spacesuits, I'm like, oh, I've got to do that. I've got to be that. So off I went, did a master's in medical virology where I did HIV research for a couple of years. Oh, I love that. It was absolutely awesome. But it wasn't dangerous enough now, was it? Because I wasn't in a BSL-3 suit. So after my master's, I'm one of those people that likes a lot of different things, okay? I'm not a one-trick pony for some reason. I like researching a lot of different things, okay? So after my master's, I went into a more generic microbiology PhD. So during my doctoral thesis, I was actually working on more bugs, all right? So the first one, HIV, I was working on viruses, the love for small bugs. And then in my PhD, I started working on isolating wild funguses to digest the different molecules in coffee rests so that we could get more coffee out of it to make soluble or instant coffee. In other words, to increase yields. And I did that by isolating wild funguses growing on coffee. You see there? The beauty of the bugs that I really, really love. And another part of my project there was working on yeasts in the bioethanol industry. And I'm going into quite a lot of detail now, but it's all part of the journey, because during all my lab endeavors, you eat quite a lot of bacteria, I'm pretty sure, because in those days we all ate our lunch on our lab bench, while you're doing experiments, the whole thing. Didn't know about the dangers then. But basically also perhaps not educating ourselves, not listening to our elders when they told us that certain things in the lab are really toxic and you've got to listen to what we say. But basically what happened there is I did also a study where I developed yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, I don't know if you know what that is, that could grow on raw starch, and without a heating process of liquefying the starch could break down the starch to produce ethanol. Okay, and to do that, this science girl had to make GMs. Now, the reason I'm saying that, it's pertinent to the rest of the story of gut health and how GMs have infiltrated our lives and how they are actually affecting us. Okay, so you can see it's come full circle. I still love my bugs, but oh boy, have I learned a lot since I finished my doctorate. I think, it's more than 10 years ago now. And I think the life journey is really important, because from all that studying, you probably also in the meantime realized recovering A-type personality here. I call myself a recovering A-type because I'm one of those doers. I need to finish. I need to finish absolutely everything I start. And unfortunately, I'm also blessed with this inherent need to do everything perfectly. Okay. And although employers love that because they're getting this person that's just going to work themselves to death to get it right, it is very detrimental to your health. Okay, not being able to accept that things are like they are, and that you don't have to do something 15 times because it might have been perfect to someone else the first time. You and your mind just haven't grasped that yet. And the reason I'm saying that's actually quite detrimental to your health is you become a very high-strung person. You're at risk of becoming really anxious about things that don't really matter. And besides that, the continuous flight and flight response that you're having in your body is dehydrating your gut. You're affecting your gut bacteria. You're affecting your immune system. You're affecting your serotonin production, which means your mood is affected. And through all of that, you can start understanding how absolutely everything is connected. Okay, so with all these advances in science and the amazingness that it brings, our toxic lives are starting to take a toll on us. And most of the diseases we are dying from these days are as a result of what we call non-communicable or non-transferable or non-infectious diseases. And it is in fact caused by poor lifestyle choices. Okay, and that's quite sad because that means it is your decision on what you're doing and that you are not taking your health into your own hands, that you are still very much dependent on Western medicine and how they've bamboozled us into believing that there's a pill for everything, and that it works really quickly and that you can mask these symptoms because it doesn't really matter what the root cause is and you don't have to fix the root cause because it's going to mask your symptoms. But when last have you actually been to a doctor where they've explained to you thoroughly what the side effects are of all the medications that you're taking? When last have you gone to see the doctor, if you're someone that gets sick quite often, that they actually tell you that there's contraindications with that specific medication that they're giving you? In other words, that it might actually react with certain foods that you're eating, with certain beverages that you're drinking. And I think that's where we have a missing link. Right, so the missing link is important for me because it was part of my health journey to realize that there was a missing link, and that I needed to do a little bit more research, because part of my gut issues that I have been experiencing my entire life, part stems from being overly stressed about nothing all the time, not being taught techniques at school, for instance, to manage stress a little bit better, lifestyle skills, in other words, not being taught that at school. I think part of it is due to all the medication that I was prescribed right through primary school, high school, and university. Part of it is being fed misinformation about what foods are good for you and what are not. Part of it is the amount of toxins that we're taking in on a daily basis. But I think where most of my gut issues are coming from is the stress, number one. Or so my integrated health doctor specialist believes, but I do believe him. I understand where he comes from. The foods I ate, not listening to my body, listening to diet fads and going vegetarian for 7 years when my body was clearly screaming at me that that is not what it needed, and that I needed other protein and that I needed to really, really come down on certain of the foods that I was eating. And I think the biggest part of this all is, with my science research, I'm qualified to talk to you about my journey because perhaps I can shed some light on which articles or which resources to use to not just follow anyone's Pinterest advice or anyone's advice on Google, but maybe that I can teach you a little bit of tips and tricks on what to look out for, how to know when it's mumbo jumbo or bamboozled information, how you can start listening to your body, because guys, that's it, hey? Gut feelings. When you have a gut feel, what do you think it is? Do you think it's something weird? Do you think it's something esoteric? It's not. It's those amazing gut bacteria and the molecules and the signaling molecules that they are producing that is telling your brain what is going on, what they need, what they want, what they don't want. Okay, so through this journey, we are going to be learning, number one, what causes poor gut health. And part of that, obviously, how to repair your gut, the things you can do on a daily basis. And, you know, this is not a do everything in one day. I've literally taken at least, I'd say, 5 to 8 years to get to a point where I now know exactly what my gut likes, what it doesn't like. And this journey is going to be important because teaching you what helped me with my gut health or giving you that education could be something that you decide you take on board to start looking at your own gut health, okay? And it's going to be very much holistically looking at a lot of things. It's not just food, it's not just toxin. And those that answered 1, 2, 3, well done. All 3 of those definitely are relevant to gut health, but there's quite a few more as well. Okay, so we're also going to be talking about leaky gut. That's probably something that quite a few of you have heard of before. There's actually quite a large part of the population that have got leaky gut, they just don't know it. And it's one of those things where I think people just generally get used to feeling a little bit low. My gut is bloated today, but it's okay, it's normal. Tomorrow I'll feel better. And you know, we keep on seeing these adverts on TV or on the radio about insulin resistance and all these kind of things where these medications that you can just go and buy. And I just don't think anyone actually does the research and goes and really establishes what is the root cause of all these things, okay? And that's kind of important. So we're definitely going to be talking about how to stop the bleeding. That sounds kind of gross, eh? But literally, we need how is it that we stop the bleeding from the guts? And I'm going to call it that because it's when something is hurt, you think of bleeding, right? There's bleed coming out. So let's call it. What are we going to do? What is going to be your first step in stopping the bleeding? We're going to talk quite a lot about food. We are going to talk about leaky gut syndrome because that's something that's obviously I've got quite a lot of experience in. So I feel equipped enough to be able to educate you a little bit about my health journey. We are going to talk about ways to repair your guts and what you can do on a daily basis and what not to do. We are going to talk about probiotics too, whether they're facts or fiction. That's going to be a contentious one on Facebook. I can just see it coming. And then number 5. Which is probably the most important thing in a health journey about healthy gut and realizing that you need a healthy gut to be a healthy you, and that is commitment. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of homework. I'm going to just delve slightly into the first topic, which is stop the bleeding. And what causes this bleeding? Because from that stems your little bit of homework that you're going to have to do for next week's Thursday's video or live, and that is going to be toxins. Okay, so those of you that answered number 3, look, there's lots of toxins, eh? Your mind can be a toxin too. If your mind keeps on thinking that there's something wrong with your belly or you're completely anxious all the time, I mean, that's a toxic mind too, and that's definitely going to affect your gut. So we are definitely going to be first addressing things like food toxins, the toxins in chemicals, which are your cleaning stuff at home, you know, cleaning the things you clean with at home, household chemicals, in other words, cosmetics and beauty products. Ooh, I'm not sure if you guys are ready to hear this, but those of you that are, definitely we are going to be talking about those things next week. And yeah, definitely food. So because there's quite a few things in food that I don't think a lot of people are aware of. So It's going to be more education. I'm obviously not going to cover everything. It's going to be a little bit of everything, so you have a broad overview. But what I would like you to do for your homework today is go into your kitchen cupboard and go and fetch one of the home cleaners, right? And go and read the ingredients on the back of the label. Now, this one is a little bit of a tricky one because the Food and Cosmetics Act is a lot stricter with what ingredients you need to put on for food, the labeling law in other words. They're less stringent with cleaning products where they can actually group terms, and they've got they can say so many percentage of a surfactant, and they don't actually have to list what the chemical name is. If you don't know what a surfactant is, maybe we can speak about that next week as well. That's the foam, that's the cleaning stuff, the thing that cleans, okay? But if there's a lot of chemicals, even your face wash, go and check that out. As a general rule, if there are things in there that you can't pronounce, even as a scientist, I'd think twice about using them. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about good databases or resources that you go and research as well to try and see what all these things do. Yes, they all have a reason for being in there, of course, because otherwise, why would they put them in there? They would be wasting their money. But it's going to be a good learning curve for you to understand why they put these chemicals in there, what they do, but I think most importantly, how toxic they can be for you and the environment around you. Okay, so toxic to you, also toxic to your gut health, yes? Because you are your gut health, because remember, you have more bacteria in you than you are you. Okay, so brilliant. There's actually quite a few more that joined in. I just want to scroll through all the comments and just try and see if there were actually people who asked very specific questions, so I could perhaps answer them before I close off this video today. Nope, lots of people saying hi. Lots of people saying 1, 2, 3 toxins. Joburg, all 3. UK, hello Dan, thank you for joining all the way from the UK. Definitely saying 3, I agree, but it's all 3. And Pat, there were so many people. Thank you guys for joining today. Love it, love it, love it. Send me those hearts. Brilliant. Okay, so maybe just before I close off today's video, let you get excited for next week. Go and do that homework. Try and see if you can find some labels and go and do some research online. See what these chemicals do. Why do they put them inside your products? Let's all become a little bit more researchy so that we can see what's going on and why are we putting these things, or why do we want to put them into our bodies and put them on top of our bodies. And then we will talk about the Stop the Bleeding next week. And I think most importantly also, for those of you that want to rewatch this video, remember it remains as a live video or as a recorded video now in my Facebook feed, but I've also opened my own YouTube channel, so I'm uploading them there as well, so you can go and watch all these videos in your own time. I will post the link to my YouTube channel in the comments. And please also go and visit my new website. Okay, so it's called botanicamy.com. There's even a little description on the homepage teaching you how to say botanicamy. And yeah, go and check it out. Tell me what you think and go and post some comments after the live if you have any questions. And I can't wait to see you guys next week when we kick off with the nitty-gritty things and the research and the tips and tricks on how you are going to be able to improve your gut health so that you can become a healthier you in this fantastic and amazing 2020, which is going to be the year of limitless potential. Cheerio!